Welcome back to America Decides. In its waning days, the Biden administration has decided to provide anti-personnel mines to Ukraine. These attract a lot of attention because they are designed to be used against people, not vehicles or other military equipment. The U.S. has sought commitments from the Ukrainians to, if possible, limit the risk to civilians. Meanwhile, the U.S. Embassy in Kyiv is resuming services after closing today over the possible threat of a Russian missile attack on the city. The Kremlin has pledged to retaliate after the Ukrainians fired long-range American-made missiles into Russian territory. That occurred yesterday. Weijia Jiang joins us now from the White House. Weijia, great to see you. This is a busy set of decisions with possibly far-reaching implications. Walk us through them.
Well, Major, first on those anti-personnel landmines, it is significant that the Biden administration refused to allow Ukraine to provide these kinds of weapons because of the threat to, as you referenced, to civilians, because these weapons, if they are on land, the worry is that they could be detonated for decades to come. And so that's why there is consideration. But we did hear from the Pentagon, Major, and they say these U.S. supplied weapons are different than the ones that the Ukrainians would be building themselves or using because of their technology, essentially, that they are battery powered to last between 4 hours and 2 weeks. So after 2 weeks max, they will be inert if they do not go off. And the reason the U.S. says they're supplying them now is because they say Moscow has changed its tactics, and they're frankly using fewer tanks and more foot soldiers. And so they say that Ukraine has to be able to respond to that. But the point that the U.S. wants to stress, Major, is that they are doing whatever they can to reduce the number of civilian casualties by supplying this particular kind of landmine.
And Weijia, it also seems that the administration is taking steps to increase Ukraine's ability not only to defend itself, but to increase the costs of Russia of maintaining this war on Ukraine. Right. And there is increased conversation, at least about the possibility of either a ceasefire or some sort of resolution. It seems these moves on the chessboard are designed to expedite that, if at all possible, in the final days of the Biden administration.
Right, Major, and that is a big if, because that is exactly what the Biden administration has been trying to work toward now since almost the very beginning of this war. But there's really only two parties that can agree to that, Russia and Ukraine. And so Biden himself is running out of time to do that, as you alluded to. And so bolstering Ukraine in whatever way that it can in these final 2 months before the Trump administration comes in, because as we have been reporting, President-elect Trump has a very different view of how much aid the U.S. should be supplying to Ukraine. So while they are trying to create some sort of an off-ramp here, Major, it's difficult to see how that would happen in the next couple of months.
Weijia Jiang from the North Lawn of the White House. Thank you so very much.